Okay. Well, I'll just take these out because there's no point. I do it.
Good. I am good. I just got back from the locker room. So we didn't have practice today, but we were just watching some film. So it's been a
I'll,
good day. I know it's a little earlier for you over there, but
yeah,
just
just a tad bit.
here now.
I know it's almost bedtime there. Yeah, no, it's really 3 o'clock over here, and sun's fully out. How's the weather over there?
Today, beautiful. It's like 72 degrees and sunny. And I was out in the field earlier today, just like getting some extra work in, and it was so nice out. It's
Uh,
been really nice here the past couple of weeks.
that's so nice. My wife, she actually says that North Carolina is on her destination list of other places that we would live potentially.
Mhm.
She's never been to North Carolina. I've never been to North Carolina, but I hear it's very nice.
Eh, this is my dog Penny, by the way.
What's up,
Heard me tonight
Penny?
being able to
Oh,
join the conversation.
I love it. Jump in, Penny. Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, North Carolina, yeah, she's like, I could live in North Carolina. I could see myself living there. And I was like, you don't know anything about North Carolina. We're from SoCal. We live here, light, it's totally different. But
Very different. I will say that.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So, have you always lived in North Carolina?
No, I'm from right outside of Philly. Grew up in South Jersey, and
Okay.
then went to school obviously at Carolina, left and worked in New York City for a few years, and then COVID happened, and then I came back here last year. So
Okay.
I've
Cool.
been, yeah, the past I graduated 6 years ago, so I've been to Philly, New York. Some of my players are on the live right now asking questions. So
Yes, sir. I love it. Are you a
that's
Bill?
why I'm smiling and laughing because some of our current student athletes decided to join live and they're very curious and have questions.
Of course, of course. They should. They should ask all the questions in the world. I think I saw a question that I think is cool. Are you a Bills fan?
I'm not, but my husband is. I'm a diehard Philly sports fan and
There
everything.
you go. The Eagles, right? Eagles are
Yeah.
dope. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, awesome. Well, hey, I'd appreciate you jumping on the live. I don't want to take, too much of your time, and there's, a lot of things to talk about when we're talking about the draw. But before we dive into that, I definitely wanted to read off a couple of things just in case, someone from the live doesn't know who you are, what you've done. I'm going to just read off some things. And if I miss something, go ahead and throw it in there. But number one, played for North Carolina, right? You're an alum, and you are also an assistant coach. You also played for Team USA, played multiple years, multiple championships, getting buckets, all that. Athletes Unlimited Pro, right? And then also a blind athlete. I got all that right? Does that sound about right?
Yes. Correct.
Awesome. Awesome. So you got a laundry list of amazing achievements. You played all 4 years in North Carolina. I mean, you came back to coach. How did that process happen? Were they like, hey, you played a long time. You should come back and think about coaching. Is that what you always wanted to do?
No, I actually, when I graduated, wanted to like kind of go a different route. Just because I love lacrosse and I've played it my entire life, but I wanted to try something new and I knew that I could always do both. So I worked just like a normal job in New York, but then traveled a lot on the weekends to coach lacrosse across the country in different areas. Like I would go to California and Florida and sometimes I would stay local and just like head to Long Island on the weekends and do trainings. I actually trained like a lot with I traveled a lot with Kylie O. Miller because she
Yeah.
has her KO 17 business. So I
Love
did a lot
that.
of work with her. And so I was able to do both. And then when COVID hit, it was really I was training for the national team for the World Cup in 2022. And Jenny actually reached out and because they had a volunteer assistant role open and she was like, no pressure, but like I know you're working from home and like if you can come down and just help us out a little bit with and your schedule. Like if you have work, go work. If you have calls, but like anytime you can make it, and then you can train. So I kind of came down here just to like train and have a stick in my hand because all the gyms were closed where
Yeah.
I was living. New York was still shut down, so I didn't go back to the city yet. I was actually living in Philadelphia at that point. So I came down, was a volunteer, and I loved it. And then the opportunity presented itself last year, and here I am. So
There you
that's kind of one of the silver linings with COVID is if it didn't happen, I don't know if I would be here.
I mean, yeah, things work out the way things work out. Sometimes very mysterious, and sometimes it's very random. If this thing doesn't happen, we don't get this opportunity here. So, yeah, man, it's interesting for sure. I mean, yeah, COVID changed a lot of things and a lot of processes and all that good stuff. But I'm happy that you found a role there. You're doing well. How's the team doing this season?
Great. Great. We have a game Saturday against Louisville, and then we play Northwestern Monday. So, busy weekend ahead, but it's great. We're
Absolutely.
having fun. We're plugging away. We're learning something new about ourselves every day and just getting better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's dive into Let's talk about the draw because this right here, at least back west. Now, I've been coaching lacrosse for about almost 9 years now. It's kind of crazy. I didn't grow up playing lacrosse, and I obviously did not play girls lacrosse, as you can tell by my beard. So, it's trying to find education, resources back from like 2014 up to now. It's still a little sketch at most. There's some decent stuff on Instagram, obviously on a little bit on YouTube, right? But getting into the nitty gritty of how to take the draw and this specialty, right? Kind of like a face off, right? There's not a lot of great information that's easily accessible, that's free, that's out there, that's like technical, long, right? Long form content. You can find some stuff from way back in the day where it's like 2 minutes on the draw. This is what you do, pushing and pulling. That's about it. If you had the privilege of going to like a LaxCon, you might have seen a demo and you came away with some good nuggets, right? Or if you live
Yeah.
like in the Mecca, right? If you live in a very saturated lacrosse area, you might have some more, coaches that know more about it. If you are their coach, right? They definitely get a lot of tips and skills and drills and all that stuff. But really, I think there's a lot of people out there that are, just searching and wondering. A lot of first time coaches, a lot of first time players, um, a lot of first time centers, that are like,
Yeah.
man, what am I doing? And me as a trainer, I encounter a lot of that. I see kids that, aren't really, twisting, digging the ball out, don't really know how to place it, right? They're just like, okay, get the ball above my shoulder. That's about it, right? So definitely a lot of things to talk about with that. So how did you start taking the draw? Number one, like how did you do that? Yeah.
So I think back then, and this was before, draw sticks, and to your point, I think it's become a more specialized position in women's lacrosse, which is great. I think men's lacrosse has had, the term FOGO and like their face-off players for a little bit longer. I feel like when I was younger, it was just put like your middies at center and just push as hard as you can and see where the ball goes. And
Yeah.
it's a free for all, and we had 8 people on the circle too. So we had two. They're called attack wings and D wings, and so it was like 2 attack mids, which I would consider that like an A mid or a D mid. Now
Yeah.
there's 2 attack mids and 2 D mids, and then the center. So it was that many people in the draw when I was growing up.
I
Yeah.
can even imagine all those people rushing in at one time to
Yes.
get the ball. I mean, I'm sure there was some big collisions back then as well.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
actually, in the 2017 World Cup internationally, we still play with those rules. So, like, I played with those rules recently. I know 2017 seems like a long time ago, but that was like my junior year going to my senior year of college, and I played that in the World Cup. But so it was really just like put the ball in the between the 2 sticks, push as hard as you can, and see where it goes. And whoever is more athletic and can get it is gonna get it. And I think it really started to become more skilled. Obviously, now we have all these draw sticks and different technology. People are coming up with a ton of ways to string pockets to try and, get any little advantage on the draw because it is such an important part of the game.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, I took it my entire life just because I was a midfielder. So they'd be like, oh, go to center. And then when I got to college, I was really grateful that I got to learn from Sammy Jo Tracy, who's now one of my best friends, but she was like one of the very few like draw specialists.
Yeah.
There were a ton that Northwestern had. I would say Northwestern, like Danielle Spencer, Alyssa Leonard. Those were people who I think really established themselves as, I mean, they played all over the field. They were amazing to watch, and I loved watching them play. But like seeing their craft and art on the draw was, I think, the first time I had seen it. And then Sammy Jo Tracy at UNC was a draw specialist, obviously was an attacker too and played all over the field, but she took a lot of pride in that and focused on that. So I got to learn from her and Katrina Dowd as well,
Oh, yeah.
who, fun fact, never took the draw, but like she was really great at coaching it because she knew the different things to really focus on. And so I learned a lot of my draw stuff from Katrina and Sammy Jo at Carolina.
Well, that's wonderful to have, teammates on your team that can school you, I wish I would see a lot more of that where we had a lot of the older upperclassmen teaching, the freshmen coming in, the rooks coming in, all these things, that would be a huge help. So coaches out there, if you got that one skilled player who's went to those camps, who studied on themselves, or maybe you studied, have them mentor those younger gals because that's going to be huge later on. So, well, let's talk about this really quick. So let's talk about the draw from the beginning set up to the moment when the whistle blows. Okay, I got my stick right here. When you're stepping up to that line, what's the first thing in your mind? What are you doing to prepare for that?
I think one is just always being confident, and I apologize for my dog growling and barking.
I got a little baby boy that might start screaming in a second, so you're all good. Don't worry.
Thank you. I think the first thing is like being confident. Something that I tell our draw players all the time is like, you're prepared, you've done this. Like, first and foremost, be confident in your art and your craft and what you're really great at. And then, when the ball gets dropped in, react from there. Do you need to pivot and maybe try and understand the tendencies of who you're going against and communicate to your teammates on the circle on where they should go? Are you going to try and push as hard as you can to maybe mess up what they're doing? Or are you going to be confident in your own, technical skill that you bring to the table? So I think first and foremost is just being confident in what you do and what you've prepared to do prior to that moment first. So that's the first thing I would say.
Well, let me jump into there really quick. How do you build that confidence? Because people are going to hear that and they're going to be like, oh, okay, I got to be confident. But my thing is, when I encounter a lot of these kiddos out there, how much time do you actually spend on the draw? Maybe once a month, twice a month.
Exactly.
Is that how confidence is built?
Confidence is built through preparation.
Yeah.
The more you prepare, the more you put in the work, the more you one of my players is just making me laugh. The more you put in the work.
Olivia Dirk.
Yeah, Olivia Dirks, because our draw girl.
Oh, I know.
Talking about the draw.
Let's go.
The more you put in the work and prepare, like that's how you're gonna earn your own confidence and build it.
Well, let me ask you about that preparation. What does that actually look like? What should, say, a high school kid, middle school kid who's, somewhat serious about taking the draw, how much time should they allocate per week in actually practicing the draw? And what does that practice actually look like? What do you guys do? That's common.
Yeah, I think it's different for every player, but I think the first thing is really being honest with yourself and holding yourself accountable to really truly understand the area that you need to work on. You might be able to self it every time, but grabbing it out of the air with sticks and pressure when you're in a game-like situation might be something you struggle with. So really trying to reenact that by maybe grabbing a couple of your friends, being like, hey, can you just toss the ball up and put your sticks in the air and cause disruption? And I'm going to focus on grabbing it out of the air, bringing in a tight cradle, and getting out of pressure. So I think...
I'm sorry, I just want to pause you right there because I just make sure everybody heard that, especially younger players, is simulating the pressure that you're actually going to experience in a game. I think that's huge because I think when a lot of kids train, they do it without any kind of pressure or resistance or defense or anything like that. But what you're saying is get a couple of buddies, which I'm always talking about, tell them, hey, just play a little bit of dummy defense, give me a distraction, make it hard for me so that when I actually get to the game, I've already experienced this multiple times. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. I think there's a ton of different ways you can do it. And that goes back to just holding yourself accountable and being honest with yourself on truly understanding the areas that you might need to improve on more. Because I think some people are like, well, I'm putting in the work. I get 100 balls every single day after practice and I'm shooting them on a net, but I'm not seeing improvements. But do you really understand what you need to improve on? And is that the detail that you're working on after practice. So to your point about like, what are the hours? What's the time commitment? Like, what should we be doing every day? I always tell our players or people that if I'm going to coach a clinic, um, it depends on the day. Like if your legs are hurting, that's not an excuse, and it doesn't mean you have to go out there and go, despite your legs hurting, go do a super physically taxing workout. It might be, wow, I could really work on my hand speed today. Like that was a tough practice. I'm tired, but if I spend 10 minutes just working on my hand speed and quick whistles, or if I spend 10 minutes just cradling upside down with my hand on the bottom of my wrist, working on my wrist strength, that's going to make a difference. The 10 minutes that Coach Marie makes us do wrist strength at practice isn't going to like make you have the strongest wrists. Or the 10 minutes we do stick work at practice, that's not going to make you the best draw taker ever. It's really understanding what the details are that the coaches are telling you and learning it, and then taking that with you and implementing it in your training outside of practice time. And again, I think there is like a misconception of like the amount of time and hours that you should put in. It's more, what are you doing with your free time? And are you truly understanding what the detail is that you need to focus on that's going to take you from here to here?
Well, I love that, because I think that's being a mindful athlete, a mindful player. It's not just going through the motions. And sometimes I think a lot of youngsters go through the motions just to satisfy the requirement of doing something new. And they're not really evaluating. You know, one of the things I like to tell a lot of the kids that I train is like, look, I'm going to send you film and I'm going to send you notes. But really, what I need you to do is take whatever notes I have for you and then add to them based off of what you're doing.
Yep.
Right? Like, be mindful, just be present. Don't just let it go in one ear and out the other, because you're not really going to grow. And if you care and you really want to improve, this is what that looks like. It's mindful. It's not hard, okay? But it does take a little bit of effort. So absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let me jump to this really quick. So we get to the line, we're setting up, right? Ref comes, puts the ball. How important is the positioning of your stick to get the ball, lodged on one side or the other? And then the second question to that is, do draw sticks really matter? Do, having a draw stick, all that stuff? Because there's questions out there. Do I really need this do I need to drop another 230, 240, for that stick? Maybe the team can drop it, but maybe not the end. Anyway, that's another conversation. But we get to this, refs putting the ball. What are you trying to do to win it? Or to get that ball? At least I'm more on your side.
Yeah, I think to your question about draw sticks, I've seen people who don't use a draw stick. They're just so quick with their hands and so talented and skilled. I've seen people self on people who are using a draw stick. I mean, I'll say like Danielle Spencer, I remember she came to a US training weekend, and like or maybe it was in the WPLL, my first year in the WPLL, like someone was using a draw stick or some special stick, and she was just using like her normal stick and was just crushing it. So I do think like, I will never say like, yeah, you absolutely need a draw stick to be great at it, because I think, again, like that goes back to my point. That's then taking your focus away from like your individual skill and your talent. Like, do they help? Yeah, 100%. But I do think like if you focus on just the skill and not actually the stick, then it doesn't matter what you use. And that's kind of what I tell people with any stick, really. Or stringing. Like, there's going to be certain sticks or stringing that are meant more for your game and how you play.
So I think you were talking about, really just to sum it up, it's not the wand, it's the wizard. If you're that good, if you're that person, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Yeah, it might have a little bit of an advantage if you both are trained at a very high level, but really, you got to be putting in the work. It's all that.
Yeah.
The first question, was, when you guys get to the line, now, ref places the ball in the pocket, right? Let's just say you're playing against a taller girl, because this is the question that comes in. I'm a little vertically challenged, right? I'm playing against a girl that's 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet, right? What can I do there? And I think you answered it in the first part, is like, you just got to be that good. But does height really play a factor?
I don't think so at all. I think if the ball goes straight up in the air, yeah. But if you work on being able to control the ball where you want and you can get it away from them, it's going to be an over the back call, or you just get it away from them and you're the one picking up yourself. And I'll always say, like, Sammy Jo Tracy's 5'3". I don't think people realize how small she is. She's really small. She may be 5'3", 5'4". I actually think she's 5'3". But I think the biggest thing is when you're going against someone taller, just know you've got to be able to control it and not allow it to go straight up. Usually when the ball goes straight up, it's kind of no one really was able to control exactly where they went. I don't think anyone's trying to get the ball straight up. People are trying to get it a little bit on an angle away from the center girl. But I personally don't think height makes a difference at all.
So would you say it's more of a factor of speed on that whistle and power / finesse?
I think it's both. I think some people try to just push as hard as they can, but if you're going against someone who's really talented, they actually like that because you're pushing it into their stick. And if their hands are quicker, they're going to dig it out from that hard pressure. And so I think it's really like hand quickness, and sometimes the ball's just placed in someone else's stick too. Like, and so you've just got to be able to find ways to do it. And that's what I always tell my girls. I'm like, find a way, right? It's either in one stick or the other, but the best draw takers find a way, and that's what we always preach to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So say now you're not worried about the height, right? You know your skills. You've been waxing. You've been putting in the work. My little guy's agreeing right there. Coach, let's talk about that really quick because I think that's important, and I think say Charlotte North really kind of like brought that to the forefront. It might have already been there, right? The center's talking to the circle people and all that good stuff. But how important are codes? Do you see that actually happening a lot more? And is it actually, helpful?
Yes, I always say, like, every draw control that I got in college was a result of my circle players doing what they're supposed to be doing. If they're boxing out for me, they're pulling their defender away from the side that I want to put it to, which puts less pressure on the draw taker when they go to pick up a ground ball or when they grab it out of the air. Your circle play is so important for the success of the draw taker. And the communication, and honestly, it was really great that the refs were mic'd up in that game, because the communication that Charlotte had just was put on display on a national level. So you could see that. And I can say, like, every great draw unit has that communication. And that's something that we stress a lot. And for me, when I take the draw, that's really, really important. And then making sure we're on the same page prior to the circle as well. Like, walking, you have time to quickly do it before you go back to every draw, so you can rediscuss maybe some of the trends that have been happening in the game, or if I do this, like, this is what it means. But that communication to the circle, and I'm sure, like, every draw taker who's done it for a long time will agree by saying that, like, every draw control win is a team win. And something I always love is, like, in men's lacrosse, the way they stat the face-offs, I think is similar. It should be similar to women's lacrosse. So, like, they stat the face-off, like, if your team comes up with it, it's a win for the entire team. And that's something that we actually stat at Carolina too, like, in game, is like, that was a draw unit win. That wasn't just the person who came up with the ball.
Yeah, man, that's a lot of helpful nuggets right there. A lot of good stuff. I mean, coaches, a big takeaway to build team morale is creating that stat line out there where it's not just the center that's getting the win, but it's the whole unit, because that's really what it is. If the circle people are not boxing out, if they're not following, the commands or the little things that we, established before practice or, before games and stuff like that, it's not going to be as smooth of a win, putting them in the right position, understanding the matchups, film, sessions like you guys are doing today. It's a whole unit thing. So I agree with that. I mean, I think, more coaches, more schools should do that because it is a whole team effort, to win that thing right there. Has the draw changed from when you played to what it is today? Has there been innovations? Is it different? Are people still teaching you right and push, lefty pull? Is there any new information, or is it kind of the same, but just kind of like being explored a little bit?
I think it's the same. I mean, when I played, there were definitely a lot of draw specialists, and there was a switching of sticks. Like this, I would say, like my freshman year is when I really saw like a lot of the stick switching, which then there actually were draw heads that were manufactured and produced. That we didn't have like the gate draw head or those heads when I was in college, but like we had draw heads that were maybe a little bit sturdier than the regular heads that we were using. So that was kind of like our process of using a draw stick was really because we wanted something a little bit sturdier.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I see that a lot more. And just for those coaches, those players out there that are like brand new to the draw and you don't really understand that, essentially what players will do that are taking the draw is they'll use that draw stick and they'll have like a defender or an attacker or whoever else, primarily a defender, hold their regular stick. If they win the draw, they'll take it across the line, they'll come back, they'll pass the other stick off, they'll switch that out, and it's very quick, it's on the fly so that they can get back into the action quick, fast, and in a hurry. You'll see that a lot more with games probably from like, I don't know, 2020 and up. So watch college game, you'll see it. If you're just jumping on conversation with Marie McCool around the draw, Instagram is cutting us off. Let's see. Just as we wait to see if this actually works again, we talked about some very basic fundamental things of the draw. I think the biggest takeaway so far is the stick. Do you actually need a draw stick? And you just got to really be that good. You got to be that person. All right. Just requested. I'm trying to add you, but it's not working. That's so weird. All right. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to end this live. We're going to start over again. I don't know what's going on with Instagram, so stay tuned. Well, hey, let's just finish up with a couple of random questions about the draw. I think number one on my list right here was stance. Does it matter?
I think that's a personal preference. I think you see a lot of righty stances. So back in the day, that was the push stance, but we don't really use push or pull term anymore because that's not technically what you're doing. But I actually took it lefty and still take it lefty. For me, I always encourage players to kind of know how to do all of them. And I think there are players who have just simply been able to master one of the stances, but being able to push it forward and also draw behind you. What I talked about earlier is kind of using the other player's pressure to then dig underneath and go with it. Is a way to do it. That's how I did it lefty. So I would actually draw in front of me. That's why I don't like the term push and pull. I didn't pull it back. I kind of just dug underneath and went in front of me. So I don't think it matters. I think it's a personal preference and understanding what your strengths are. But I actually, in a game, you might see me take it like 3 different ways, like a righty push, a lefty, a righty push as hard as I can, a righty just draw behind me, a lefty pulled as hard as I can, or a lefty put in front of me. So I think everyone should practice everything because there are also opponents who might struggle against one stance versus the other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With that being said, it sounds like there's like 3 different things you're trying to accomplish. If you could win it to yourself, win it to yourself. If you could win it to your teammates, win it to your teammates. Or if you know that you don't have the ball in your pocket, kind of lose it, but lose it in your way, right?
Right.
Those are like the things that you're probably focusing on when you're setting up.
Yeah. If you feel like the other player might be more in control of it based off of ball placement or just, how it goes, I think doing your best to make it a 50-50 ball or just countering it is that last way. But I would say, yeah, just really understanding your surroundings. Like, are the circle people clogging where you like to draw it to yourself? If so, can I get this more out towards the side that my teammate's on, into space so they can run onto it? It goes back to what I was saying earlier, how it is a full team effort.
Absolutely. If you were to win a draw, how high do you want the ball to go?
Personally, I don't want it to go too high because then it gives the circle players time to react to it and kind of close in on that space. And then I don't know, but like if anyone else hears, but had that feeling where you're like looking up in the air for so long and you have no idea like what's about to happen. Am I about to get like checked by someone else's stick or where are my teammates? So being able to track the ball, and that's another drill, like ball tracking is something that we work on. And being able to track the ball, obviously the lower you can keep it, the better. It has to go over your head. So I would say just like a little bit over your head. But if you also know that there's a space that you're drawing to and you have an open space, like I liked to get it on the ground, knowing that I could win it a foot race getting it there. So it really, again, depends where your teammates are too on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it sounds like you have to be mindful going into it when setting up in the position, right, where your teammates are at, and then also if you're going to win it, putting it into the right position, maybe giving them some coast and nods and louds. Also, are you looking at the official?
I look at the official, yes. I do not. I look at the official when I take 8 meters too.
Mhm.
I look at the official when I'm taking a draw because I like to know, like, they usually back up and then put your hand down. But like Sammy Jo Tracy, for example, she looks at the ball. So I think that's another thing that's a personal preference. But I like to look at the official so I know like when to expect the whistle. Sammy Jo likes to look at the ball because she likes to track it the entire time.
Yeah. For sure. I think it all leads back to how fast are you, right? Like
Yeah.
I think that's probably like the biggest thing to come out of this for all those players, all those coaches out there is you got to be fast. And if you're not fast, you're probably going to lose the ball. You could definitely have all the power in the world, and that's definitely a big factor, but the speed of it itself, I mean, is huge. Like if you're not going as fast as you can and working those whistle reactions in practice, and even at the beginning of the game, right? Because I've watched a lot of college games to where I try and get to warm-ups a little bit early, and I'll watch, their centers, their midfielders, whatever, just on the sideline, just whoop, tweet, tweet, just trying to get their wrist ready to go. And it's similar like that in a lot of other sports, fighters, the MMA, right? You're working on these little things before the fight, right? You're trying to prepare yourself. So can you speak to how important having a good pre-game warm-up specifically for draw takers is?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like any other position on the field. Warming up your hands, warming up with ground balls, warming up with balls that are getting thrown in the air, grabbing with one hand, grabbing it with two hands. Just those little details that really matter when you take the draw are the things that we incorporate in warm-up. So again, like it doesn't need to be the most physically taxing thing. That's why they're called warm-ups. You're just trying to get warm and get loose. It doesn't have to be like sprinting around like crazy, exerting all this energy, but like just really focusing on those reaction stuff that really help you get not only like physically ready, but mentally ready. I think that's the biggest, like that's in your physical game and mental game. Like they're both just as important. And warming up isn't just for physical. It's not just for the physical side of things. So, and to your point about like being fast, I also want to like clarify to everyone, like that's, being fast with your hands and your mind. But if you're able to, and this goes back to the question about like, do you need to be tall? Like, can short people not take the draw? Like, if you can really be quick with your hands, you can be short, you can be tall, you can be physically slow. You might not be the most skilled on the field, but like you're really skilled in the draw and being able to win it to yourself, and then having your teammates be outlets to support you if you're not the most athletic person on the field.
I love that. Let me tell you why I love that, because for all those girls out there that are riding the bench, okay, and maybe those positions that you want to play are taken and you're a freshman or whatever the situation is, go ahead and go master the draw.
Yeah.
Spend 5-6 days a week, 30 minutes to an hour, whatever you want to do, and really master the draw. That's a place that you can win the draw, get it to your teammates, get off the field, as you guys do that in high school, right? Because that's how you can get playtime. I mean, sometimes we need to adjust. This goes into a completely other thing, but I've coached high school, I've coached club. Obviously, I train primarily now. If you're not getting any PT, is there something else that you can do? And specifically for the draw, I love what you said, that you don't have to be the tallest. You don't have to be the fastest, but you probably should be the most skilled at taking the draw. And that's how you can be an asset to your team. You don't need to put the ball in the back of the net. You don't need to get a bazillion checks and interceptions. Can you win the ball? Which I'd say is like probably one of the most important things, because if you could start off with the ball at the beginning of the game, during the game, that means less time for the opponent to actually have the ball in their pocket, their sticks, all that good stuff. So absolutely. Let me ask you this. It's a spicy question.
Okay.
Number two for you on the draw circle.
Sorry, what did you say?
I said, has anybody ever talked trash to you? I feel like, you don't really see that in girls lacrosse too much. I mean, I see it at a club circuit, high school circuit, but not in the pros. Seems like you guys are all friends.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think I'm trying to think of my collegiate days too, and I don't remember anyone talking trash to me on the draw or like hearing it. So
Yeah, no one came up
I don't
to
think
be
so.
like, oh, yeah, I'm about to win this draw. I'm about to take the ball. No one ever did that.
No, if anything, I feel like if you take the draw, you like find yourself in conversations with the other team, like super friendly conversations, to be honest, like about something random. And if you watch like a collegiate game, you'll see that. I remember seeing, I mean, I know Allie and Charlotte are good friends because they played together on the World Cup team, but like I remember always watching them like kind of smile and laugh together in the circle. So
Oh, yeah. No, I've seen that. And, when my high school kids would play, I'd be like, what are you guys talking about over there? I don't know. We're just talking about school and
yeah,
life and, who you're
exactly.
the prom with or something like that. And I'm just like, yo, you got to be shark mode. Like, it's like, no, we're enemies right now. You can be friends later. And like, just coach, we don't work like that. Like, that's not what
Yeah,
we do. Okay, well, that's all right. Do you, boo boo?
yeah.
So, so what was your toughest matchup in college and in the pros?
Um, that's a good question. I would say Olivia Jenner from Duke. She's so powerful and also so quick. So she had like a great balance of like having quick hands, but also just being super powerful with it. And so I would say she was hard. And Shelby Fredericks from Northwestern. We took it the same way. And I actually like studied the way she took it. And that's how I like learned how to do it in front of me instead of pulling behind me. Cause like I watched Shelby Fredericks do it with her left hand. And she's my grade at Northwestern. So I grew up playing against her through the club teams.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and so, and she was really difficult too. And then I think in the pro league, um, oh, Livy Rosenzweig, she went to Loyola,
Yeah.
and this was her first in the pro league. She's really, I would probably say she's the toughest one.
Well, it says here in my notes of your stats that you led Athletes Unlimited with 49 draw controls and tied for the lead with 33 ground balls in I think it was 2022, not last year, but 2022. So, I mean, yeah, that's some stiff competition right there. You was out there snagging them balls for sure. So, well, that's awesome. Yeah, funny little story. I don't know if you know this, but when you were playing for WPLL, I actually designed a couple of posters. I designed you versus Taylor Cummings. I don't know if you're really looking at the face. Yeah.
Very hard to go against
So so yeah, I remember I was watching multiple games of when you guys played in the finals, and I was like, you know what, that would be a dope like concept to put those two together face to face, like old rivals meeting again, all that good stuff. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, she's kind of tall, right? She's like on the 5'9", 5'10".
So surprisingly, Taylor Cummings is like 5'7", but she has such a long wingspan. People think she's so much taller than she actually is. I mean, I'm 5'6", and people think I'm way taller than 5'6". Cause I'm
You're
pretty.
5'6"?
Yeah, I'm only 5'6".
No, I
I
thought you was like 5'11".
I know people meet me and then I'm like, no, I'm 5'6". Look, and they stand next to me like, wow, you are shorter than you think. And so Taylor's kind of the same way, but Taylor's like arms, her wingspan like is so long. Haley Warden. Now I'm thinking of another people. Haley Warden's also really difficult to play against too. And she's another one who's super long and skilled and kind of has all of the tools on the draw as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let me wrap it up with one more question, and then I want to definitely give people, places where you are, like if you have upcoming clinics in the summer and things like that. From your whole experience from college to Team USA to the pros, I'm pretty sure you've encountered losses. You didn't win the way you wanted to win. How do you bounce back from that? And can you speak to those high school, college kids today that maybe just getting their butt whipped on the draw circle, right? They're just not able to, get it where they want, place it. They're just losing. What's your advice to them? What's your wisdom to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important to know that we're all human and nothing's ever going to be perfect. But if you strive to be the best that you can be, and really, I said this earlier, but I'm not sure if everyone was on, but really understand like how to hold yourself accountable and truly, truly dive into like what might be preventing you from reaching that success and being very honest with yourself. That's really what's going to bring you from good to great. I think that, making excuses or just being like, oh, I'm not really great at it, so I'm just going to go out and get extra work in. Be intentional with your extra work and really, really try and focus on the details and the areas that you need to improve on. And that's what's going to really help you. And it's not going to happen overnight. And it's not going to happen in the dedicated practice times that you have to attend because your coaches are there. Um, and some of it might happen on your couch watching film. Like it doesn't have to be physical every single time either. And so that would be my biggest advice is just like knowing mistakes are going to happen and you're never going to be 100% all the time, but really be self-accountable and try to really understand where the gaps are and then focus on how you can fix those gaps within just small details and putting the work in.
Yeah, I think, first of all, love it. Yeah, I mean, just adjustments, you know, I, like for my younger players out there, you're going to lose. You're going to get your butt. You're going to come away like thinking, man, am I really meant for this? You know? And if you're about that life and you really want this thing, it's all about adjustments and being resilient, you know, letting the water. I always sound, you kind of want to be like a duck. They're like, you want to be like a duck? Why? I was like, because the water just rolls off a duck's back. You just got to let it roll off your back, learn, observe, work. Also, I think another big factor there too is, if you have people that you trust, coaches, parents that you trust to give you an evaluation, give you some, constructive feedback, definitely take that in because I think that's going to push you along further. And if you don't have that, try and seek that out. You could reach out to a lot of people through the gram, through, your local coaches connections and things like that. Be like, hey, coach, what can I do to actually, improve? I'm struggling in this regard. So I think those are all important. I mean, also the last thing I will say, because I'm a big stickler on this, like, look, if you're trying to really dial in on a specific thing, it's not going to come during team practice all the time. Like you got to go do that on your own or go watch film. Like if you're trying to, like what we always say, kind of get some others, lax IQ, you got to have lax IQ.
Yeah.
Yes, lax IQ, but just go watch the game. Do you enjoy it? If you enjoy it, you're going to watch and you're going to, oh, okay, I saw that little thing. Oh, there's that little communication piece. Oh, there's a screen that I could apply. I grew up watching the NBA, and so what I would do, this for any people my age, we had VHSs. We didn't have Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff. We would have to put the tape in, rewind, all that stuff. And so I would take NBA like highlights or whatever, and just watch what the pros did and try and emulate their style. Speaking from the point of how you mirrored Shelby, what was her name?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's huge. If there's someone kicking your butt on that circle, watch them and be like, okay, how do they kick my butt? Maybe I could take their style.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the game. You know what I mean? We make adjustments. We shouldn't get super, prideful and be like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. Nah, steal what they did and try and improve upon it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Well, hey, thank you so much, Marie. I really appreciate it, especially through all the little Instagram fumbles and, crashes and all that good stuff. I agree. Oh, it's not your fault. It's totally Instagram. But, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you jumping on the live. And, I wanted to put this thing together because, again, this is a very important subject that I don't think there's a lot of good information on, that people can readily, just go and access, all that good stuff in depth, talking about, everything that we talked about here. So really quick, is there anything you want to leave the audience with?
No, I think I just want to echo what you said about really watching the game. I think, the great thing about technology is that there's a lot of resources out there now, and a lot of the games are streamed. And really dialing in on certain details rather than just watching to watch, but focusing on the way that players might be cradling, like where are their hands on their sticks? Are they choked up on their stick to protect it? Are they in triple threat position with their elbows up? How are they shooting it? How is this player dodged? Is she just trying to run by someone, or is she really breaking it down? Like really focus on the details of the players and how things happened. How did that goal just happen? That wouldn't have happened if the girl next to her didn't back cut her really hard to take that defender away, or that wouldn't have happened if she didn't cut when she saw the girl turn her head. Like those little things, really try to dissect the game and really understand why things happen on the field. Would be my advice, especially for those trying to develop IQ, to your point, Gabe. Um, and then lastly, just have fun and and show up. Like, don't be afraid to love the game, because the people who love the game the most, those are the ones that continue to grow each year and are just so hungry to want to learn more. And those are the most coachable kids. So that would be my biggest advice.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, so many nuggets to take away. What we're going to do, just so everybody out up there who was not able to attend or watch it, because I had high school coaches be like, hey, we got practice and I want my kids to watch, but we got a game tomorrow. And so is this going to be recorded? Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the clips. Hopefully Instagram didn't delete them, and I'm going to put them all together for everybody. And then I'll make this available on YouTube somewhere so that everybody can watch it. It's hopefully, I think, around maybe like a 30 or 40-minute conversation around the draw. But yes, definitely appreciate your time. Definitely want to have you back on to maybe talk about dodging next time, because that's the thing I love. I love dodging, and I've broken down a couple of your games and stuff like that, and I love watching you guys play. Definitely a lot more to be said there. I might be more giddy about the dodging segments and stuff like that. But do you have any camps coming up or anything like that in the summer that people can reach out to you for?
Not right now, but usually on Instagram they'll be posted. So you can just stay tuned through social media, and if there's anything, I'll make sure to post it.
Yep, absolutely. Well, if you come out to Cali and you want to do something, hit me up. I got you covered.
Great.
That's my 20 little thing. That's my 20 little thing.
I got to get out to Cali, so I'll definitely let you know.
It's nice. It's nice. I mean, we got a lot of good food, which I'm sure North Carolina does too. My wife wants to go out there. You come out here, we can eat them. I don't know. Who knows?
Different type of good food. I love that Southern Californian food. So, yeah, I'll definitely let you know. And again, I know I mentioned Sammy Jo being my best friend, but she's out there all the time. So we'll try and get something up, and maybe she can get a draw thing going too out there.
Yeah. No, I mean, dude, there would be so many kids, I think, interested in that. Doing some type of draw clinic, specifically like maybe a 2-day thing where you just not working nothing but draws, and you just really proficient at it. Because like I said, I get a lot of DMs, I got a lot of messages like, hey man, how do you do this? How do you do that? It's important. And, I just want to make sure that people know where they can get it, easily, it's free to a low cost, we just got to make it happen. So, again, thank you so much for jumping on the call. I really do appreciate your time, especially in season. I really do appreciate you. And yeah, we thank you. We'll talk. Yeah, absolutely.
Bye, guys.
All right. We'll see you. Thanks.